In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
I just want to give a shout out before the show starts to all the sponsors, all the local businesses that have been coming through to help us out and get this thing started. Thank you to you guys.
Total Truck Accessory Center. Go check them out at 7700 Homer Drive. They're your one-stop shop for canopies, spray-in bed liners, LED light bars, and more. Total Truck.
TheTreehouseAK.com. Located at 341 Boniface Parkway. They're your all-in-one cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bartender today what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off.
Lawn Pro AK, your year-round professional property maintenance. Cutting lawns, but not cutting quality. Hit them up at lawnproak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. Handcrafted, Alaskan-made cider. They also got a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Check them out, doubleshovelcider.com.
Anchortown Dogs, located across from the 4th Avenue Theater in front of the historical building. Look for the blue and gold umbrella. Get yourself a legit reindeer dog.
Tailored Restoration, helping Alaskans restore their dreams. Voted #1 in the state since 1972. Water restoration, fire restoration, remodeling, cleaning, anything that you have to do with your home, inside and outside, give those guys a call or check out tailoredrestoration.com. The patented caribou call, the double caribou call.
Oh, yeah, that caribou call was coming in strong this weekend, boys, let me tell
Are
you.
you getting after it out there?
Oh, man, I showed you the videos. All those caribou, the herds that were cruising by the lake.
That was amazing.
Oh, yeah, every time I was just 5 minutes, they're going to come running by.
Where were you?
We were in a small lake right near Lake Louise.
The secret spot.
It's not a secret, but it's private access to it, and let's kind of keep it as let's just call it Phil's Lake.
Phil's Lake.
Phil's Lake.
Got
That's
it.
a good name.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to another Alaska Wild Project episode number 5. We have Brandon Fifield here with us and Jack Lau as well, and myself, Daniel Buitrago. Tell us a little bit more. You said you went out to Lake Louise with the kids.
Yeah. My cousin hit me up. He was, doing his commute back through to Valdez. He works at the terminal there. He hit me up. We've been talking about getting up to the cabin for an ice fishing trip for, sadly, 20 years. We've done it before, but you would think we'd do it every other weekend or whatever. But with life and all the stuff going on, and it's pretty much around his schedule, it's really hard to do it. So when he hit me up last week, I couldn't pass up. I was like, oh, we got to get up there. Spring, we got more daylight. It's like prime time.
The funny thing is I didn't tell Mateo, my son, that you guys were going till today because he would have really been bummed. He's been trying to hit Lake Louise for a while.
Yeah. And the thing about it is you need a lot of time. Like, it's not a weekend warrior trip. It's, I took Friday off and got up there, and we spent all Friday afternoon and night digging out the cabin, cutting a trail, starting up the stove, which, by the way, did not get warm anytime soon. Froze our asses off up there.
What kind of temps?
It was like 10 during the day and negative 20 at night, which, I mean, that's cold as hell. But up there it can get, 40 and 50 all day in December, January, February. And it's nice and when the sun's up, and then it dips instantly below. I mean, it's like you better not be out there in a pinch. You better be close to the cabin or somewhere. And so Friday night, so we got up there, drove up, beautiful day Friday. The sites going through Eureka and Matanuska Valley, and I was thinking about Jake flying over all that. It's the views have just got to be unbelievable. But
I think that's the most beautiful drive, personally.
And it was nothing short of spectacular this round. I mean, the girls were pretty pumped about it, but they get bored and started getting tired. But man, the whole time I'm just like looking, I've done the drive a million times, but it never gets old. Anyway, so we spent all day Friday getting it warmed up and cut, and I punched holes, and I was telling you guys before the recording here, the overflow just absolutely kicked my ass the whole weekend. As far as
we
the
need
ice
to
fishing
find out
side.
what is the deal with what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, I punched 6 holes and I created a flood the size of a football field under the snow, and I've never experienced anything like that. And then I tried to fish with it, and
Good thing you had your knee highs on.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. It was bad, and we still had a blast. And my cousin was really thankful to have us up, and more thankful than anything to help dig out the cabin and shovel off the porch and just get some life in the place and a few projects and stuff. But it was a great weekend, and
it's good.
It was a run and gun, smashed up there and smashed back today to get here for the recording. Got a special guest on today, so
we'll get to her.
Yeah. She's
So did you catch any fish up there?
We did. So last night, burbot, we were targeting burbot in that lake, and they are a nocturnal predator.
Mm-hmm.
So you can throw bait in the water all day and sunny, you ain't gonna get a bite. But as soon as night hits, those flags will pop. So 1 o'clock in the morning rolled around. I was still up. My cousin and I were, throwing out caribou calls and doing our thing. We had a nice fire and stuff. And I went down. I decided to, the girls had passed out. The cabin finally warmed up, and Phil had his I threw a couple of those cider mimosas in him.
Oh man.
Oh,
He warmed up
Dunzo-matic,
fast,
bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, he was done.
Yeah.
So
you took his snow machine keys away.
no, they were. Yeah, he was Dunzo. He wasn't going nowhere. And so I stumbled down to the lake. And I was like, hey, I'm going to check the tip ups, and if there's some fish, I'm going to pull them up, rebait. And went down there, and needless to say, it was a 2.5 hour shit show.
Oh.
Wet, cold. One little 16-inch burbot grabbed the first chunk of whitefish and then ran out and then grabbed all the lines and spooled them up. So I'm like, the flags are popped. Hell yeah. No, it was just that one stupid ass fish that got them all tangled. And so I spent 2.5 hours walking back and forth and figuring out what was what, and broke some line, had to retie, all while I'm not exactly as, iron focused as I could be. So I was kind of stumbling through it. And then at the end there, went out to the last hole and was coming back. I fell in the overflow. Oh. And at that time it was a cool 20 below. And I mean, I'm talking arm, I went all the way in, just full blown, into a slushy. I was just I'm done, man. I was only able to get 3 of the 6 back in at that point because I started to get cold. My boots got water in them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I stumbled back up, and
well, no matter how difficult a weekend that you had, I'm sure it was gorgeous and way better than what I had to deal with.
Oh yeah.
I had to go to Costco 3 times this weekend. And if anyone has gone to Costco on the weekend, it's a nightmare. I have a love-hate relationship with Costco because they provide a lot of things that I sell, but it's the worst on Saturday and Sunday. Man. And how are you out of ketchup and mustard and Coca-Cola? That's the 3 top brands in the world, and you're out of them. So I had to go to the East Side one, and then I forgot that they didn't have this, and so I had to go back to the other one. Just a nightmare. I would have much rather been in some slush, wet in my boots, cold, than at Costco in line with my mask on. Just, God, they're out of ketchup.
Yeah, that is first world problem shit right there.
Yeah,
but so I mean, I would normally probably be cussing up a storm out there in that circumstance, but I was just kind of rolling with it. In fact, it dawned on me that I was out there in the middle of the lake by myself with caribou running around, and I'm like, there could be easily a pack of wolves or something cruising around. I should probably watch my 6. And then, but I got an epic Northern Light show.
Ooh, nice. Oh, I bet.
Oh man, it was amazing. it was really cool. So I got to watch that for a minute before I almost had hypothermia and went back to the cabin.
They're dancing?
Yeah, they were dancing. It was this big, long green strip that just ran out, only lasted for about 7 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And then it just disappeared. But it was kind of like telling me, go inside.
Yeah.
You're done. And here's a little show
Let me
for
light
you.
your path right back
Yeah,
to the cabin.
exactly.
They've been going off lately.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was great. I saw him on Friday night too. Went out to get some fresh air out of the cabin there, and I got a good picture of it above a spruce tree. But
Nice.
we did get a couple burbot. I did pull the one last night. It swallowed the bait, and I couldn't get it out, so I just threw it up on a little tray I had out there and let it freeze. And then this morning, I took the girls down. They were pumped. They woke up this morning right out of the gate. Dad, is it flags up? I said, look out the window. And then the first one, he said, phew. So they were all sorts of excited. But we had to pack before we had to come back. So before we get geared up and go down there, let's completely pack before we can go, and then that way that'll be our last little round.
Yeah.
So we went down there, and there wasn't a bourbon on that. And so we were like, they were kind of deflated, like, oh, man. And then we went out and checked the others. And then, there was a bourbon on the middle one. It was just so frozen in, the flag couldn't pop up. It just was frozen down. Oh. So, and Kennedy had the GoPro hooked up. And so she got the full video of me pulling it up. And it just made their day.
Nice.
Yeah,
so we'll put it up on the feed.
We should, yeah. And I have to say, I wanted to say something about, because we really promote children, youth, hunting, fishing, outdoors. All of us grew up with our parents getting us out and doing it, and now we're getting our chance. And I wanted to say, and I told my daughters when we got home, I thanked them so sincerely for being such big girls and good girls for me. I'm so blessed to have such awesome kids.
Yeah.
And they have their moments, but, when you get them out with just dad, and you kind of give them that pep talk, like, hey, it's going to be cold, it's going to be wet, and I need you to, keep your gloves dry, and you need to give them that whole spiel, and and then my oldest, 12, my middle, 7, and then the 12-year-old was just keeping an eye on her sister and keeping her good and warm, and, man, it made it so fun because they didn't complain, they didn't whine. We have our rules with the kids, right? Rule number 1 is no complaining. Yeah. So
let's tell it. What is the 3 rules? Remember, number 1, no complaining.
No complaining.
Number 2, be safe. And number 3, have fun.
Have fun. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. And I had to just give them all the credit just because I was dealing with a lot with all the stuff and digging out the whole thing and. Anyway,
full dad mode.
Yeah. And I you're kind of hypersensitive when you're with them about being dry and warm, and you can get cold and wet and miserable, and you can still have a blast. But they
don't have the cider moses warming them up.
No, exactly. So anyway, I had to give them credit because they made the trip, because that's what it was really all about. And we pulled the fish out, and my daughter this morning. We had picked up some Heather's Choice snacks on the way out of town. And she's like, Dad, we still have a couple of those packaroons. I said, okay. And I was like, well, we're going to snack them on the truck, in the truck ride home. She's like, no, let's take a picture on the lake. I was like, oh, good idea. So she runs up, grabs, jumps in the Yeti bag and grabs them out. And we posted it on, I sent it to Daniel, and he posted it on the AWP Instagram page. And it's a great photo.
Oh, it is.
So
yeah.
cute.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
and they genuinely like them. And the little story behind that is there's that new Three Bears gas station in Palmer there, right as you're leaving town, right? And I told them they could run in there and grab something, even though we had tons of snacks. I was like, it's always fun to just run to the gas station and grab something. And they went right to the candy spot, and I was like, no, you can pick something else, something, try to find healthier fruit or something. They drift to the back of the store, and they've got dehydrated meals and camping equipment in the back. Three Bears are badass, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to Three Bears. Those stores are awesome. Even a gas station has everything you need. Toe strap.
They're almost like the new, what we were talking about the other day, like the Roadhouse. Almost taken over like the Roadhouse.
Totally.
Yeah. You, whatever, if you forgot it, there's going to be a Three Bears somewhere on the way where you can pick up whatever you forgot.
So my 7-year-old points out these snacks, and she's like, hey, what are these, Dad? And I was like, oh, those are some awesome backpack snacks. And then Kennedy reads it, and she's like, hey, aren't you guys going to have Heather on Sunday? I said, yeah. And she's like, oh, we got to get these. I'm like, all right, cool. So it was just crazy how the timing of that. And then she came up with the idea for the picture, which we just took this morning when we were pulling tip ups. And so it was just kind of like the icing on the cake with that. And then actually it was cool too, because we're sitting there pulling them up. And then here's a herd of 25 caribou just 100 yards out. And I sent you guys a video of that cruising by, beautiful bluebird day. And then, of course, the gorgeous drive home. And I was like, man.
It sounds like better than Costco 3 times.
Yeah. Not to put some salt in the wound, but as brutal as the fishing in Overflow was, the rest of it was amazing. So
it's super cool to hear that, we know that your wife is so supportive of our podcast, but then even your kids and, them getting to be involved in some way and feel like they're participating. And that is just so great.
Yeah. Kennedy's really, really gun-ho. Like I was telling you before.
That's great.
Like, I want to film. Give me a GoPro. And I was like, all right, honey, you're getting a little bit bigger. We'll get close, 12.
Yeah.
She's getting there. So cool. I think we're going to have a full-time gig for her later on. So
yeah, my youngest said, I want some of your merch, Dad.
Doesn't everybody?
She's got the lingo down, too. Merch.
Yeah. Jackie, how about you? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was great. We did some family activities. We went out and hiked in the Chugach with the kids. Did a 3.5 mile loop up on the mountains. A lot of sledding involved. A few tantrums, but they did dang good for 4-year-olds hiking in the mountains and a lot of snow and crossing creeks, and it was fun. Wet, sunny day. Couldn't beat that. And then friend Annie and I just got done turning some tread, some fat tire tread.
Is that the lingo? Turning some tread?
I was trying to think of some new tread or some new lingo when I was biking, and I came up with that. So I am going to patent that.
That's fresh
later.
off the press right there.
Hashtag turning some tread.
Yeah, I'm sure that everyone else thought of this first, but
slinging some slush.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that one too.
Yeah, slinging some slush. Maybe you should make a sticker.
Yeah. So we went up into Bicentennial and biked around for a bit and did a bunch of single track. It was awesome. And Bluebird Day, you couldn't beat it. It was amazing how beat down the trails are and how high the snowbanks are on the side right now. I mean, when you fall over, you're falling over into your shoulder into snow.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. We got hammered. Yeah.
As Annie's like,
Yeah.
Annie fell down a few times, but she got the hang of it. It was her first time out, and I mean, we were doing intermediate advanced trails, and she just killed it.
Yeah.
So it was a fun.
It was a sink or swim situation there, wasn't it?
But these fat tire bikes are amazing, and what a great option we have now.
Yeah.
That's great.
I was walking those in when you guys came in this afternoon. I was surprised at how light those are.
Yeah, now you can pick up these full carbon ones direct to consumer stuff for a reasonable price. It's
I'm not like a big mountain bike buff. I don't, I know they're getting lighter, and I know when you get the nice high end bikes, they're lightweight.
Yep.
But those look bulky with the big tires. But pulling it in, lifting it up over the curb, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this thing is weightless.
Yeah, like 20 pounds.
Yeah.
It's just nothing.
It makes sense when I see all these guys ripping around town in them.
Yeah. Those might be the e-bike guys too. But
cheating.
Yeah.
At
least they're getting outside. I mean, we're not rowing our boat out into the ocean. So you get outside, I'm happy to meet you.
Right.
Yeah. So we have a guest today. We're very lucky to have her. So the one and only Heather Kelly. She's an Alaskan entrepreneur.
Ooh, I like the golf clap. This is
Yeah.
That's the first guest that's gotten one, Heather. So that is,
Oh my gosh, you
coming
guys are
after us
big
now.
time.
So Heather is an Alaskan entrepreneur, a sports nutritionist, a podcaster, an NCAA athlete, a chef, a adventurer, and all-around badass. She owns Heather's Choice, which is an Alaska-based company supplying us with healthy, nutrient-rich backpacking food, which I think we all purchase a lot of it and thoroughly love.
Yes,
love it.
Welcome, Heather.
Thanks for having me. This is I already told you guys this, but this is super official. When I say I'm a podcaster, I mean I have an Apple pair of headphones that I plug into my iPhone and record on voice memos. So this is next level.
Well, we'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, and I worried about that because as we were doing some research on you and looking up, and I was like, oh man, she's been on all these crazy podcasts and Gritty and all these guys. I was like, man, I hope we're like up to level with these guys.
I know. It made me a little nervous when you said that. I was like, oh no.
The funniest part about recording with Brian of Gritty Bowman is in our podcast, it's probably 9 hours of hanging out with him talking. Like the last time I ended up in Utah recording with those guys, I show up there at like 2:00 in the afternoon thinking we're going to like sit down, record, and I'll be on my merry way. But no, we probably sat around for like 3 hours shooting the shit. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to put the headset on you. And then we're going to talk for 3 more hours. And then we're going to go to dinner and then come back and like talk more. And I'm like, holy cow, this guy has the gift of gab.
Better have some time on your hands hanging out with him, huh?
It's pretty fun.
Sounded fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're very honored to have you today, Heather. Appreciate you coming in.
You guys are on my way to work. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Yeah, you become pretty popular for us. Daniel and I backpack hunt together the last 5 years, pretty much. And we started trying some of your products the last few years, and they have become a staple. Yeah, absolutely.
Be still my heart.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, they're phenomenal, and I guess, I'll start the rabbit hole with it, but I love the size. They're so, they're like the size of those things, the way they can pack down versus the other, brands. That's what I love. I mean, besides the fact that they're delicious and nutritious and full of energy and all the stuff that's, packed inside those little packages, and it's surprising how much you get out of one of those meals.
Yep. It almost has the, I don't know if they still do it, but Mountain House used to do like the Pro Pack. And it was like a little bit smaller. It has like that Pro Pack like size, which is perfect when you're trying to do a 10-dayer and you can't fit all these huge things in there.
Oh,
yeah. It's crazy because I just did a virtual huddle with REI because we're in 37 REI doors across the country. And right now, one of our best ways to communicate with them at the store level is to get on Microsoft Teams and basically have a huddle with whoever's in the camping department. And I was trying to explain to them, like, okay, so we're like the really little bags that you see that cost twice as much as the competitors. And like trying to explain to them, like, okay, so if you're going on like a 10 or 15 or a 30-day trip, like spacing your pack is really important. And I don't know that fully landed for this group of people out of San Diego that are like, I don't know, I'm generalizing, but like, I don't know that they fully grasp how important that is because I do think about the people who are going on, like, let's say a 10-day mountain hunt and that extra 2 inches of bag on the shelf commands a lot more presence. And someone's willing to pay more money for a bigger package because it looks like more food. So it's just this constant struggle for us of trying to make sure that the packaging is as small as possible for that exact reason. The people that are going super far, super hard, all of the above. But then when it comes to retail, it bites us in the ass every time because people associate the smaller package with less food and they don't want to pay a premium price for that. So it's a forever struggle that we deal with. So it's really great to hear that you appreciate those custom-sized, expensive, little teeny tiny bags.
Yeah, and to be honest, I didn't look at the price. I looked at the size, and I had heard about the products. I knew they had to be good because you don't hear anything bad about them. And and it was what it would be like the last 2 years that your products have really hit those stores where you almost see them everywhere now.
Yep.
Would it be 2 years? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because it would have been probably last season. I kind of saw some, but there would be very little on the shelf because they go fast.
Yeah, speaking of that last year when we were prepping to go on our Brooks Range hunt, with the COVID stuff, like you didn't realize that everyone was buying up these packages because for safety, and then And the same thing happened when the earthquake happened. People were buying up all this dehydrated stuff just to have in their home, which is a really smart idea, but super shitty when you're trying to go find something good to take with you on these hunts. So I couldn't find Heather's stuff anywhere. And I literally went to like every single store, and I don't know if at that time, like you guys might have not even had your place on Arctic quite open yet at that time. But luckily, so I had to go with a different brand. I wanted to get some more of your stuff. I got what I could, and I brought what I could from Heather's Choice. So I had to go with some other brands. Luckily, come to find out, Brandon is actually allergic to some of the ingredients that you put in.
Oh,
and so I was
I can
able
tell you
to
exactly what it is.
I want to know.
Hold hemp seeds.
Oh, see these damn hemp seeds. Do you realize how many phone calls we get from people in the military that are like, I really love your stuff, want to buy your stuff, blah, 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 but can you make me buckwheat breakfast without hemp seeds? Because there's this like assumption that if you eat whole hemp seeds, you're going to test positive for THC.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
We get this phone call all the time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make a breakfast that doesn't have hemp seeds in it and be like, here you go. Because now for us to do like really small custom batches for people is actually kind of a huge ordeal.
Oh, I bet. To alter the ingredients of that kind of
already made recipe,
right?
probably already set recipe to do in big batches.
Even mass produced, like we do our buckwheat breakfast blends in batches of 500. So if you were like, hey Heather, I want 5 without hemp seeds, I might as well get out my measuring cups and make them for you by hand, because it'd be easier to do that than to scale down a batch of 500 and run it through the weigh-in fill and blah 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 blah. So yeah. There will be breakfast without hemp seeds just for you. I promise.
I really appreciate that, and I didn't want to take anything away from the meals. They're great. I had bought all those breakfasts, the cherry coke or the cherry cocoa one, and almost all of them have it. Well, I did a juice a couple years ago. I did what's that company that does the juices? You buy like a kit and it comes in little glass jars. My wife and I did it.
Like a juice cleanse thing?
Yeah, it was like a 5-day juice thing that we bought. And this one breakfast that on like day 3 had whole hemp seeds in it. I didn't know. I drank it and I almost had to go to the ER. I didn't realize I had an allergy to it. I mean, I was at work and like everybody's like, "What's wrong with you, man?" And my eyes was starting to swell and fold over. I was going full elephant man, on everybody. I'm like, "What?" Sorry. Anyway, I rushed home and I got some Benadryl, and I was able to get it at bay before I had to go to the hospital. Well, you remember on our hunt this last year, I was eating that one other brand, I can't remember, had that red packaging, something I had ordered off of Backcountry, but it had hemp seeds, and I started eating it. About halfway through, I was like, oh no, it's got I decided, I looked at the front and looked at what it had. I was like, oh, it's good. And while I'm eating it at 4,500 feet in a windstorm, I roll it around and I'm like, oh, it says hemp seeds. I don't know. So I stopped eating it.
4 days in.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I feel the itch in my ear and that whole like allergy thing that I felt with the juice. And then the next morning I go to crack open a Heather's Choice breakfast and I'm like, Daniel, you're eating Heather's Choice the whole trip. So I end up trading breakfast with him, and he's just scarfing down on your delicious breakfast.
What a
I had
score.
to eat the.
Oh, it was the best because all I could find was like the regular like blueberries, and I had some other stuff I never really tried. And every day I was like, let's see what you got. I was like, let me check the packaging. I was like, yeah, you're allergic. You're allergic.
So he ends up eating all the breakfast, dude.
I wonder how rare that is too, because it seems like, Heather, you're mostly trying to do allergen-free stuff. So
yeah. When I started in 2014, I was on this mission of making this hypoallergenic line of backpacking food, and then it was like, oh, people are allergic to garlic, people are allergic to onions, people are allergic to almonds, people are allergic to salmon. People are allergic to chicken. Like, the list doesn't
stop.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, can we at least be gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, like some of the big ones? Eggs is another one people are allergic to, corn. But even now, as I like look forward to building out the Heather's Choice Adventure menu and adding more products, it's like, man, you can't please everybody. So what are the foods that I eat on a daily basis, and making sure that I feel good about putting that in a bag for anybody. Like, I will eat some corn, I will eat some gluten-free tamari. So like starting to bring those things in more rather than kind of like shoehorning ourselves into trying to be hypoallergenic, because you just can't do it.
Yeah.
When you're talking about what, like this issue Daniel had last year, and I mean, yeah, we had the COVID and everyone kind of stockpiling all this freeze-dried food, but in general, what's the best way to go about it? I'm a last-minute shopper, but I'm a really good planner. So is there a way we could like pre-order food way in advance?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we definitely encourage people to come directly to us as much as possible. The reason that we do have a major wholesale footprint with retailers is because people do typically shop last minute. You go to Barney's, you go to Three Bears, you go to the Hoarding Marmot, you go to REI, you go to Sportsman's, and boom, there's Heather's Choice now. And it wasn't that way for years. So it's great if you can shop at those retail partners, because that really helps us with sell-through percentages, and it helps show the retailer that we're worth investing in, blah, blah, blah. But if you're planning far enough in advance and you say, hey, Heather, or you call the Heather's Choice number and you say, hi, Kristen, because Kristen's our one and only customer service gal. And you're like, Kristen, I want to pick this order up 2 months from now. Like, can you set it aside for me? And she's like, no problem. And it will just sit there at the warehouse and wait for you to pick it up. So yeah, ordering through our website is definitely a good way to go, or just calling us, because yeah, it's maddening just even thinking through, like, what is it right now? It's March. Come July, I really cannot tell you what the demand is for our product, because we have never had enough to stay in stock, which is just like, this as an entrepreneur, like, it's maddening to be like, how much could I actually sell if I had an infinite amount of this? Is it 1.5 times as much as I make? Is it 10 times as much as I make? Like, I don't know. So even though this year we're actively stockpiling away food in anticipation of spring and summer, I have no idea whether we're going to have product come July or August. Don't know.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Yeah, we run into that problem every summer as well. I will say that feeling of being oversold is amazing. People want our stuff so much that we can't make enough. It's so cool.
It's a good problem to have.
But the seasonality of it, that's the part that's hard. Like in July, August, September, it's like, oh my gosh, we're so popular and like our stuff sells like crazy. Ask me in like January, February, and it's like crickets.
Yeah.
You're just like, spring cannot come soon enough.
Yeah.
So,
we need to get more people hyped on these like 10-day winter treks, I guess.
There we go.
Yeah, we didn't hit the mark with the Lake Louise weekend nightmare. That's
probably not. I don't think anybody's looking to go out there and do that right now. Yeah, because I just went through Sportsman's and their aisle, and they shifted things around. It's different, but they have a bunch of dehydrated food right now and Heather's stuff up there, full stocked.
Now's the time.
I grabbed a handful of just kind of all my favorites, and I just like to go start buying it now, because come June, July, August, I'm not that last minute guy. I've got it all sitting in an action packer in my garage, ready to just pick like a menu,
Did you get some of my favorite breakfasts?
Unfortunately, I did not. And I was very bummed out. You. No, I looked at those things like, they're probably really good.
They were.
Yeah, they looked it.
So people can actually go to your warehouse on Arctic and purchase it. Like there's like a little storefront in there.
Yeah, so we the end of 2017, we actually bought an old coffee shop called Quick Cup, which is all of 1,600 square feet. We bought that whole kitchen setup, and then by the middle of 2018, we were fully permitted in that space, so we could actually start producing food, which permitting, I'm sure, in the booze world is a whole thing. Like food, it's a nightmare. So since 2018, we've had this kitchen space off of Arctic. We now have a full warehouse space right behind our kitchen. So if you find us on Google, it'll take you straight to our warehouse. that's where you can come on in and see all of our finished goods, all of our, Costco trips for diced tomatoes and onions. And like, I feel you on the Costco thing. It's a nightmare. So yeah, we have a warehouse space, and I hope that a year from now, if anybody's listening to this, it's like, oh, now we have a 15,000 square foot kitchen that you can come visit and take a tour, because the space we are in now is very small, and it is not enough. So yeah, that's going to keep me busy for the next year, putting together the expansion plan. Until then, I love when people come by and tour the kitchen. And again, like, you walk through our kitchen space and there's jars of almond butter and jars of peanut butter and, bags of rice and bags of hemp seeds. And it's really fun to walk through the Heather's Choice kitchen and be like, wow, yeah, there's like everything about what we do is super transparent. There's nothing to hide, because it's all super high quality stuff made right here, packed right here, shipped from the warehouse to all across the country. And it's just really sweet right now what we have kind of all under one roof.
Yeah, that's great. Did you find any hurdles being based from here, going nationwide, national?
Oh, I don't even think that I've scratched it's to be seen, like, how many hurdles there's going to be with national distribution. We currently have a partnership with REI, and they pay for freight, which is awesome.
Yeah,
so
saves a lot.
They're shipping stuff to their distribution center in Washington, Arizona, and Pennsylvania, I think, and they cover the cost of freight, which is awesome. So like, there's a partner that doesn't really give us a hard time about it. In sharp contrast, when I had a meeting with Sportsman's Warehouse back in 2019, they didn't even want to talk to me unless I was going to give them, unless I was going to cover the freight. So that was a whole negotiation with margin and freight and blah, blah, blah. And then now, as we are calling independent gear stores across the country, specifically this group called Grassroots Outdoor Alliance, so they're all independent, badass, awesome gear stores that range all 50 states. The first thing they want to know is, well, what's the shipping going to be? So the shipping piece is a really big one. And Jack and I talked about this on Friday, just kind of defending this decision to stay in Alaska. Like, it's not popular. It doesn't make sense. Typically, like, just people really kind of want to go to the jugular on that one of like, gah, like, why are you staying in Alaska? And it's like, because I freaking love it here. All right, get off my ass and like, leave me alone. I want to build a business here. I want to build good jobs here, and I'm staying. So, like, as I move into the next round of growing Heather's Choice and beating the pavement with fundraising and talking to angel investors or talking to VC groups or whatever the choice may be, I think, like, that is going to be the big hang up of, like, what are you doing in Alaska? And I don't even want to, like, entertain that question anymore.
There's a lot to that, though. I mean, a lot of these outdoor companies are making things for Alaska, for coming up to do stuff in Alaska.
Yep.
I mean,
and really, there's not Alaskans doing it.
No.
And then you go out and use this gear, and you're like, how would someone make this gear not knowing that it won't hold up in these conditions? And, part of this show, where we go out and try different gear, but that's a real dilemma. And so I, as like an investor, if I can't understand how they couldn't get behind that on the outdoor kind of specific niche that, you're in. And then there's the piece that Alaskans need more people like you standing up for Alaska and starting companies here, because there needs to be a future here.
Yep.
Right.
And what's that going to look like? Well, it's not going to look like anything without everyone, a million of you. So I really appreciate you doing that.
Yeah. And that's part of our goal here, is to highlight people such as Heather and people that have their own businesses going on that refuse to move away and be like, we are going to bring you to us. And if you want to be a part of this, this is where we're at. Come support us. We're not going to go to Seattle and open up something there. We're from here. Work with us on this distribution, or fuck off.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. It's really nice, because back in December, I wasn't super clear about that. There was still this constant conversation of like, when are you going to move? Like, are you going to move? Are you going to co-pack? Are you going to move the business? What are you going to do? And it was really nice for me in December to sit down with my board members and say, like, here are my non-negotiables. Like, I'm not willing to move for an undisclosed amount of time for a unclear end goal. Like, sure, I was able to go to Bend, Oregon for a year to do an accelerator program, and that was awesome. The business stayed here. I went, I learned a bunch, I came back and like implemented all the shit. But for us to pick up and move somewhere, quite frankly, to me, like, doesn't make any sense. We don't have the community, we don't have the support, we don't have the people. Like, we don't really have anything in a new place anywhere across the country. Whereas here we have people like Jack that I can be like, hey, Jack, I'd like to expand. Can you talk to me about like manufacturing and footprints and who do I need to know and who do I need to talk to? And I feel like people overlook the importance of community and building a business and just knowing everybody. It's like, oh, you went to Diamond? I went to Diamond. Cool. Like, you grew up snowboarding in Girdwood? So did I. And like, that immediately gets your foot in the door with anything you want to do in building a business in Alaska. Is just that handshake, shooting the shit sort of deal. So I feel really at home here and really committed now. Like, I might be wrong. This thing might blow up in my face. I'm like totally clear about that. But so long as I'm the CEO of the business, it'll stay here, which is just really nice to have that boundary and that decision made.
The other interesting thing that I've been thinking about a lot about the shipping problem is, you know, we overpay. I mean, the demand is the shipping north. So this is when the boats are loaded. You know, these boats are going home empty. And it seems like a bunch of business owners, a bunch of entrepreneurs, the community can get involved here in some way and get cheaper freight south. They're already going home empty. We know they are. They make their money on the way north.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's where I've heard that brought up for like the last 6 or 7 years, however long I've been doing Heather's Choice. And I don't think there's like anybody necessarily who is spearheading that and saying, hey, I'm shipping a container's worth of stuff out of here like every month, or let's buy a container together and it's all going to Kent, Washington. But to your point earlier, none of that is going to be possible for the other smaller entrepreneurs in town unless people like you and me get the whole thing started. And we're like, holy shit, we're shipping like a container of stuff northbound for pennies on the dollar every month because we committed to doing that every single month. And we had those handshake deals and we met the right people. And as soon as something like that happens, I think the manufacturing leg of Alaska is going to potentially blow up, assuming that there's a lot more people who are willing to take the risk and put their neck out there and just freaking go for it.
Yeah. It seems like if we teamed up with a bunch of companies, a bunch of these manufacturers that are creators that are bringing stuff north and to get the cheap stuff south, we could.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally possible. Like, I tried to talk to the people up at Airframes Alaska because they were like, oh, look at us. Like, we have these awesome negotiated shipping rates with FedEx and we do X number of thousands of shipments a year. And I'm like, hi, excuse me. I would really like some better outbound shipping rates. Like, can we team up? And it was a flat no, which is now where it's like, okay, well, somebody in our community needs to create a distribution center for Alaska and get to the 50,000 outbound shipments a year to pass on that cost savings to everybody else that's shipping stuff out of state. It's like somebody has to go first. And I really hope that Heather's Choice is like at the forefront of some of these Alaska problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Double Shovel will jump in with you. So
Nice.
I know you guys already beat us to the punch with the homegrown vegetables and stuff like that. Holy cow.
Yeah, I showed Heather the hydroponic farms.
Nice.
This is not the weed style farms. I appreciate those farmers as well. But yeah, we're just doing local produce for sustainable pros for locally, and we're gonna grow about 4,000 pounds a month. We're 3 weeks into it.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that. We'll be talking more
yeah.
about local greens here soon, as the first crops get distributed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, real quick, we're talking about local businesses, and we have one of our top sponsors. I want to give a shout out to Tailored Restoration, 24-hour emergency services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Their services include fire, water, mold damage, post-emergency cleaning, remodeling, and the aftermath. This includes bursting pipes, overflowing toilets, downed trees, fires, pet accidents, and vandalism. Tailored has an emergency response number with trained professionals available to help you at any time, day or night. You can give them a call. They have 3 locations statewide, Anchorage / Eagle River. That'd be the Mat-Su Valley and up in Fairbanks. They're a great group of folks, very professional, help you out when you're in a pinch. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Yep. And Trent over there is a big outdoor guy, big into the hunting, big into the fishing, big into taking his kids out doing all this stuff. So let's definitely support our own on that whole deal.
That's right. So, guys, I have some trivia. We're doing our third session of trivia.
Trivia time,
Heather's going to jump in on this one. I didn't have any softballs for you, so it should be a fun one again. Somebody should learn something. I certainly did. And today we have a hat. So we have a black double shovel hat, the same one I'm wearing, and that will be the champions token home.
Now, before we go on with the trivia, we're all lifelong Alaskans. Heather's also a lifelong Alaskan. Really quick, elementary school?
Girdwood and Inlet View.
Middle school?
Central.
High school?
Diamond and South.
Okay. So no reason to not know these answers. We've all been through a lot of Alaska history.
Yeah, it was,
I don't think we've got one right yet.
No. It was funny, too, how you were saying, South Anchorage kid moved to East Anchorage. And I'm like, oh, that's funny, because I was an East Anchorage kid, now I live in South Anchorage. And it's great, but I miss the East Side. I miss my roots over there.
Varieties of spice of life.
Yeah, I mean, that's growing up over there. It was very diverse. And Unaka Valley, we were talking about Unaka Valley, and my brother and my buddies all played baseball over there. And, we could go ride our mountain bikes down there and flirt with the girls, in the outfield, fences, watching the, boys play. And
I think I ran from the police in Unaka Valley a few times.
You can really dodge and weave and kind of get out of there.
Yeah.
Well, I invite you all to come down to the Unaka Valley ball fields this summer and eat peanuts and watch
It's been
some
a
Little
long
League.
time.
Yeah.
I haven't been down there in a long time.
Those girls won the Little League World Series, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
You're right.
Maybe not quite 10 years ago. Yeah.
That's
Some
fun.
Alaskan girls did.
Yeah, Unaka Valley softball.
We gotta look that up.
Yeah.
Unaka Valley is another one of those old Anchorage neighborhoods, sort of like Jack and myself live in Turnagain, and we had Chef Adam Markham on the last one talking about how Rustic Goat kind of ingrained themselves in that neighborhood. And Unaka Valley is another one where it'd be really cool if a business, some sort of restaurant or brewery or bakery or something, like ingrained themselves in that, where you could just walk there. That's one of those like
kind of like a hacienda-ish, because they're like that one small little restaurant that's kind of niched themselves in, but not, they're in that little Russian Jack Plaza
close enough to stumble home.
But yeah, something like it. Yeah.
They serve a mean margarita over there.
Oh man, have you eaten over there at Haciendas?
I've only been there once, and I think it was pre-happy hour, so I don't know that I've had a hacienda margarita yet. I'm gonna add this to my list.
Yeah, make sure you walk there.
Yeah.
I can walk there in about 5 minutes, so that'll be perfect.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff.
All right, we're gonna get this trivia rolling.
Let's do it.
So earlier we were out Fat Tire biking, and I was curious how many mountain bike trails we had in the Anchorage area. So I looked it up. So this is the combination, the total count, the sum of mountain bike and snow bike trails we have in the greater Anchorage area. And I guess the rules are like Price is Right, can't go over.
Oh.
Okay, so Anchorage area, does that include Eagle River? How far?
Oh, yeah.
The whole Anchorage area?
The whole Anchorage municipality.
Even Girdwood?
So
All the way
Girdwood would be
up?
included as well.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 52.
I'm going to go with 27.
71.
All right, Brandon, you got this. It's 259.
Holy
What?
shit,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, there's probably more than 50 in just Bicentennial. Yeah.
And these are official marked these aren't just like side trails. These are all.
Yeah, so this is from Trail Forks. So Trail Forks, they'll map the trails on there, but then they use an average of actual bikers using it and where they located on their GPS to update their maps. So these are real trails being used right now in 2020, 2021.
And what was it again? 201?
259.
And do they have a website?
Trailforks.com.
And it highlights all these trails.
Yeah. So the app is awesome. It's free. And then in the winter, you can click snow bike mode. So you can pick anything. I want to go hiking. I want to do snowshoeing. I want to do sled dogging. And then you'll see the trails pop up for whatever activity. But then they have a winter button, and the winter button pops up, and there's these winter bike trails appear.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then as long as you're in service, it triangulates. So it shows you right where you're at. You won't get lost. And then it's color coded just like a ski mountain. So it's like, green's easy. You got these intermediate blues. Then you go into expert and double expert.
Oh, I didn't know that there was different variations of those trails like that.
Oh, absolutely.
And you didn't know either. She busted her ass a couple times.
And she's still wiping snow off of her elbow.
Yeah, the last trail was expert. Yeah, it was a single black diamond. She killed it on that one, though. No falls on that one.
Yeah. Do they mark it just like the...
No,
like
it's not marked on it. You just look on your map as you're going. You just pop it out of your pocket.
You just know when you fall down.
How bad was this fall? Yeah, we were
it was a double black diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good app. Everyone should download it. Yeah. Shout out to Mark Aspengren for showing me that one.
Trailforks.com.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah. Marky Mark.
Yeah.
He's the one that showed it to me. Actually in a hockey locker room with a bunch of West Side guys. You used to be on the East Side hockey team, but now you're on the West Side hockey team. We move on.
We like to infiltrate.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, and then, we should give a little bit of a shout out here to Single Track Advocates. I mean, those guys built most of these trails in Anchorage over the last 15 years, and they're doing a fundraiser right now. You can check them out on their Instagram page, but we definitely need to bring them in sometime. And the trail systems in Anchorage are incredible because of these guys, and they're a nonprofit group. So if your corporate entity that you work for allows you to donate money to a nonprofit, my previous career donated a lot of money to these guys, and it was awesome.
And I'm assuming they're doing legwork in the summer to keep the trails up, and then come wintertime they're going to have to come through and pat them down or whatever.
Groom them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a little bit of tree trimming that they have permits for. You're not supposed to trim trees unless you have a permit for it. So if that's the kind of stuff I think that happens in the winter, but in the summer they actually do dirt work that's permitted, and everyone's on board with. So all the single track over there in Kincaid that they've been working on the last couple of years, and then the new hillside trails, that was all
the boys in here.
Yeah, that's so cool. Me and actually my wife been talking about getting a couple of those bikes. We've been doing our daily walk around the neighborhood, and we saw a big group riding their bike by, and we're like, man, we should just make it happen. It's just another avenue of getting outside and getting some exercise and staying healthy in the wintertime, where a lot of times you just find yourself chilling by the fire inside and Netflixing or whatever. It's like, let's get outside and do it.
Yeah.
And you can do cool stuff. I mean, you can get out in the community and you bike to, there's a brewery tour, you can hit King Street, go over Rustic, Fire Island, and on the way back hit Double Shovel, whatever, you want to go. But you can access a lot of town with between the coastal trail and then the 3 creek trails, Fish Creek, Chester, and then Campbell, and you can get almost anywhere in Anchorage.
Yeah. Do you do much biking?
No.
I
get kind of people give me a hard time about it because my winter sport of choice is rafting. I try to leave Alaska in the winter and just peace out and go rafting. So, yeah, if you see me outside, I'm probably walking the dog. That's the extent of what we do. We play a lot of fetch at the Nunaka Valley ball fields.
Yep.
That's a good day.
That. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone likes a good day of fetch.
Yep.
Yeah.
All about that fetch.
I want to get into that rafting. I was checking out your pictures of your Colorado River trip that you just did. I think the tan is still on.
Yeah, you got
just
some
a little
color
bit
going on. Yeah.
Oh man, it's fading fast.
Is that where that came from?
Mm-hmm.
It was from your rafting trip?
Yep, 30 days.
30 days.
So you did the full docket.
Yeah, we did 288 river miles from Lee's Ferry to Pierce Ferry with a bunch of Alaskans. Like, it's really hilarious. If you go raft the Colorado River in the wintertime, you're either going to meet people from Arkansas or Alaska. Like, for whatever reason, like, we're the only people crazy enough to be like, oh, yeah, 10 degrees during the day or like, I guess it would be probably 50 degrees during the day and 28 at night. You know, just same thing that you said earlier. In the desert, it gets freaking cold, but we love it. It's so fun.
I bet.
So it's an annual trip?
This is my 6th trip in about 10 years.
Nice.
So almost. If I could pull it off every year, I would.
Yeah.
But it's still permitted. You know, you have to apply for permits and get the whole thing. We have a pretty good system now where a group of us will apply and our odds are pretty good. So yeah, ideally every year spend a month on the river. That doesn't sound so bad.
So do you apply as a group or do you apply as an individual and then when you win it, you can bring a group?
Exactly. Yeah, the latter. So we have a group of people that will just say, okay, let's apply for these dates and kind of stack them. But the crazy thing is that if you have gone on the trip, you don't have as many points in this lottery system. So it's usually like the new guy who's like, that was a really cool trip. And then he applies and he's like, holy shit, I got a permit. And you're like, you're going.
Yeah.
And you're taking all this with you.
Yep.
That's like pretty typical what happens on these trips is it ends up being the new guy who pulls the permit and then you just rope him into going again.
Now, I wonder if that's like, is that kind of like the hunting permit thing? Or is there like a deadline where you do? Like,
Similar?
Yeah. They open it up in February. It's probably like a 3-week period that you can apply for the whole year. They have a lot of cancellations. So let's say people don't pick up permits. If you can move your ass and like get a group of people together, then you can go relatively quickly, which this is a fun story. Our last river trip, there was 2 older people in a dory and 2 older people in a cataract, like a 14-foot cataract. So it's a group of 4 and everybody's over the age of 60. And one of the gentlemen celebrated his 70th birthday on the river, but they live in Colorado. So they will get those cancellation permits and within a month's time be like, okay, it's December 31st. We just picked up a January 31st trip, pack all the shit for a month-long trip and like drive down to Arizona and get on the river. At like 65 and 70 years old, I was just like, totally enamored with these people and was like, that's who I want to be when I grow up.
That's the life.
That's inspirational.
It was awesome. Yep. Oh, they were so cool. So you have those sorts of people that you meet on the river. And then just, again, lots of Alaskans, lots of people from Arkansas who will take those winter permits because it's less than desirable. It's freaking cold. You'll have snow. You'll have rain. You'll have thunderstorms. You'll have hot, sunny days. But you get like the whole myriad of weather in the desert in the wintertime, and it's my favorite freaking trip ever.
Well, as Alaskans, we're used to that crazy weather.
Yeah,
we're
doesn't matter.
Yeah, bring it on. That's a normal summer.
So when you're signing up, can you bring your own raft, or you're going with someone that's guiding it, or is it you can do a guided or self-guided?
To my knowledge, there's no guided trips in the winter months. I think like October through, let's say, early April. Don't quote me on that, but there is, I believe, a season on the Grand Canyon that is not guided or not commercial. It'd be a better way to put it. So all of those winter trips are private. So we could, load up Jack's boat, drive it all the way to Arizona, pack 30 days worth of food and 30 days worth of booze and all this stuff and like take off. What we typically do is go with an outfitter. So we say we want 6 18-foot rafts. We need 30 days worth of food for 16 people. We need 30 days worth of booze for 16 people.
That's its own separate raft.
Yeah. Or a ferry.
Right. It's a whole thing. It's just like these pallets roll up on a truck and you're like, how are we going to fit all this in the rafts? And magically every time it fits.
It goes on there. Yeah.
So yeah, we basically pay to have this outfitter deliver all the gear for us. So then we only have to show up with our personal gear, which is nice. But then we row our own boats.
Oh, that's cool. They don't expect you to have some sort of cert to do it yourself or anything?
So I always wondered about that. So because we have our normal, 1 through 6, 1 through 5 ratings. Yep. Is it 6?
I feel like 6 is like unrunnable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1 through 5.
Right. Ratings up here, but they have like a 1 through 10. Mm-hmm. So what is the true difficulty of the run?
That's a great question. If you were to think about 6 Mile River up here, and it's got class 3, 4, and 5 canyons, right? That sort of escalate as you go. The difference, I feel like, with the 6 mile versus, let's say, the Grand Canyon and Lava Falls, on the 6 mile, it's a much tighter, narrower river, for starters. In Alaska, we also have sweepers, so we have trees that are falling in and creating hazards. So it's like tight, quick, like lots of maneuvering, and just maybe a little bit more technical. Where in the Grand Canyon, it's just, instead of being, I don't know how many cubic feet per second the 6 mile is, but let's call it 3. Let's call it 3,000 CFS. The Grand Canyon, when we run it, is typically 15,000 CFS, and it's super wide. So all of a sudden you have just way more water that you're dealing with and way bigger holes and bigger rapids. But with the Grand Canyon, it's all in the setup. So if you find yourself on the left-hand side of the river and you're like, oh shit, I need to be on the right-hand side, you're not getting over there. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're on the 6 mile, we could be like, okay, we're coming in from the left, and like we got to scoot over here to the right, and like you can kind of make shit happen in a relatively short amount of time. The Grand Canyon is not that way. It's all in the setup. It's like the run is left to right, maneuvering back to the left at the end. So you better start river left because you are not making any last-minute decisions. Yeah. And then the other crazy part about the Grand Canyon is just how much the water levels fluctuate. Like we were talking earlier about dam releases or just dams in general. And with the Grand Canyon in the fall, you can have like a 40,000 CFS release, and all of a sudden, boom, like
it's raging.
That's a whole shit ton of water, and like everything's washed out. Some of the rapids aren't even there. Sometimes there's new rapids. Like there's a whole lot of action going on. So with the dam releases, it just creates kind of a dynamic environment where you could have, like right now, I think it's running at 4,000 CFS. So the rapids that we just ran a month ago were probably a hell of a lot easier than they are right now at that low water level. Like right now, I bet people are having a hard time getting 18-foot rafts down the river. So with having that fluctuation in water levels because of the dam releases, that creates another factor. And then I think just the sheer amount of water is another factor. But why it's 1 to 10 instead of 1 to 5, I don't actually know why they did that.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Yeah. I tried to gauge it, and I've been running rivers in Alaska my whole life, and I'm pretty uncomfortable here.
Ish.
Yeah.
Ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like Lava Falls is a class 9, so that would be kind of like a 4.5. Yeah. And it's really just the consequences of that rapid that will get you.
Yeah, if you're in the wrong side or wrong place.
If you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time, you're screwed.
Yeah.
But it's not like a highly technical rapid. Like you enter here, you pull away from the right-hand side, and you exit 20 seconds later. But if you are 10 feet too far to the left, you're going to end up in ledge hole, and you're not getting out of ledge hole.
Right.
Jersey in there.
Well, that goes with anything, even Campbell Creek back in the day.
Back in the day.
Hey, that can
Before
get
Pack
hairy, man.
Creek. Before
That's
Pack
an
Rafts.
issue at Campbell Creek.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we just went to Walmart and got the little blow-ups with the little...
The little eagle.
Yeah. I always had like the unicorn, because I could grab onto the horn on the top.
Yeah.
But
Like we always get hung up at the peanut farm. I'm not sure what the problem is.
And it's just straight shot. Like, well, how do you get stuck right there? Must be the chicken wings.
Yeah.
that's a good place to get hung up.
That's funny.
Jack, did you have something else for us on the trivia thing?
Yeah, we got away on our trivia.
We rabbit holed off, but the conversation about the Colorado water flow, that was pretty cool. I've never even thought anything of that.
Yeah.
I guess the reason I had done research is because we have a big raft trip party that Daniel and I and a bunch of these other guys have been going on for 20 years party. I mean, a group, and we mostly fly fish. And
could I get
now
on
we've
that?
gone to,
Could I
anytime.
Hey, could I get it?
Yeah.
I know.
And so we've
Heather and I
Where's
are
my
like,
invite?
yo, what's going on?
So we float the Golcano, right? And I think we've gone every year. Well, this COVID was the first year we didn't go, but we've gone every year since like 2005 or something. And a lot of us have moved to paddleboards. So we have inflatable paddleboards and then the regular rafts, and there's good fly fishing and stuff. But all of our kids are about the age where we're going to start taking them, So I envision that whole party eventually, like when the kids are like in high school, we go to the Grand Canyon.
Oh my gosh, do it.
100%.
so freaking
that'd be
fun.
sick.
Ugh. Yep. If you need somebody to row a boat, you know who to call.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, you
Need
got
some
your
intel?
invite already.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We need someone to at least like show us the first line, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Might
And we
just
need
have
all
to
that
hire her
good
as
food.
a guide, just have her guide the whole thing.
Yeah.
You can pay me in tequila and red wine. It'll be great.
There it is. Damn.
We
Yep.
can do that. We also have another fine wine here, so we can give you, but we can bring those as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was gonna ask you, so you're not eating Heather's Choice every day on the raft trip?
No, the raft trip will have like the first night. This is so fun. So you get to the put in at Lee's Ferry. It's cold as shit. You wake up and the boats are totally frozen, and you have, breakfast, and you get on the water for the first day. So everybody's kind of rusty, and typically half your group have never done this before. So they're just like wide-eyed and like, oh my God, am I going to die? And then you get to the first camp 10 or 12 miles downstream, and you set up the fire pans, and everybody sets up camp, and you set up the kitchen, and we grill ribeyes and potatoes
That
and
sounds
salad.
like the Volcana.
Oh yeah, like it's pretty clutch. Even day 25, it's like, oh, we're making Dutch oven enchiladas. Like you eat really good on those trips.
Yeah.
That's a big factor for us.
It probably also helps with all this new cooler technology.
Oh my gosh. Like we still had, I was having to chip ice out of the bottom of the produce cooler, but we did have cocktail ice on day 29.
Nice. You can't beat that.
Multi-use.
Yeah.
Commitment.
Tequila needs to go in something. All right. So question 2. All right. We all know what we played the second biggest island in the United States game with Kodiak, and so that's our biggest island. What's the second biggest island in Alaska in terms of square miles?
As I look at the map.
It's a good thing your eyes aren't good enough to read that from here.
Would it be
Admiralty is my guess.
You're going with the Admiralty?
Nunavik or whatever that?
I can't read it from here either, so I'm going to be really wrong and say raspberry.
Yeah, so it's Prince of Wales.
Oh, duh, man. Of course it
Number
is.
2.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
I'll have to think of a tiebreaker if,
Can we take
Anyway.
this to the green star level of questions?
The
We've
next-
been doing double expert diamond.
I've seen you with a lot of beer in your hand in your life, so I hope you get this next one right. All right.
Okay.
All right. All right. So there, at one time, a brewery up here and it made Denali Ale, Anchorage Ale, and Old 55. What brewery was it?
I know the answer to this one.
Of course you do. I think you sat in that brewery as a young child.
I might have checked IDs at this brewery as a young child.
Say the brews again.
Denali Ale, Anchorage Ale, and Old 55.
I'm gonna have to go with Alaska Brewing. That's just
it's
like the
probably
worst
before-
guess.
It's probably before them. It's probably before. Well, I don't know. What?
Throw a guess out.
It was before Railroad. It was before Snow Goose.
Oh, okay.
Man.
What's the first letter?
Give us a clue. I'm drawing a blank, man. You're gonna tell me. I'm like, duh.
God, Snow Goose was a good one. That was a
Wait, they were on King Street, right?
Yep.
Yep. It started with
Turn
a B.
again?
No,
started with a B.
that's like a new brewery.
I know, but maybe they.
No. They make good beer though. Yeah, it started with a B on King Street. All right, we'll let Heather tell us.
Heather, what is it?
Bird Creek Brewery.
Oh,
Creek
wow.
Brewery.
Dang,
Yep.
she was like, yeah, I know this one for sure.
And why do you know it?
Because it was my dad's brewery.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So if we could ever get my dad like in one of these conversations, my dad he has the gift of gab. He talks a bunch. He is hilarious, and he deems himself the godfather of brewing in Anchorage, because he was basically the first microbrewery in town, and it was over off of King Street, like really basically catty corner. Is it catty or kitty corner?
I think it's both.
Yeah, I think it is.
We'll say catty corner across from King Street Brewing. But yeah, he had Old 55, Anchorage Ale, Denali Ale, a raspberry wheat.
Remember that now.
And as a kid, I just remember crawling around on like pallets of yeast and being like sticky and eating lots of pretzels and drinking root beer that he would brew that would like eat out the bottom of like the plastic cups. Like sometimes batches of root beer like didn't go well. And it was really, really, really fun as a kid to kind of grow up in that scene. So,
what's Dad's name?
Ike. Yep.
Ike.
He is a freaking character, and that's a really fun trivia question. I'm surprised you pulled that one out of a hat.
That was really good, Jack.
So the first time I met you, like I think like four or 5 years ago, when you did a pop up at Double Shovel, and I think you had given me a bunch of your different meals at that time, because you brought the packaroons in, of course.
Yep.
And then I went to the back and I was kind of messing around trying all the different ones with the different guys or our different employees. But at some point I had brought it up with Katie Vance.
Yes.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, what? I mean, when I was a little girl, I used to hang out and do the same stuff with you there at the brewery," because I think her uncle was somehow involved as well.
Yeah, he was one of my dad's employees, and yep. Such a See, this is the small world of Anchorage. It's freaking crazy.
It's awesome.
Does he still do like side?
No,
like his own?
So the brewery ran for about 8 years. My dad had previously been a framer and traveled all around the state, just building houses, and decided, I'm done being away from this little girl, Heather. Like, I'm going to build a business that's here in Anchorage where like she can come to work with me every day. So that ran for about 8 years, and then it did go bankrupt. He totally shut it down, and he hasn't drank since, which is kind of like a blessing in disguise as somebody who owned a brewery. Like, just clean slate, just like, boom, I don't drink, I don't brew beer, none of it. We did find, though, like a 24-pack of Old 55 in the attic probably a year ago, and it was awful. Like, just beer does not age well. It was like, oh god. But what's the brewery out of Fairbanks? Silver Gulch?
Yep.
Yeah, Silver Gulch.
They now have Old 55, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
So they bought the recipe.
Okay, I was wondering what the deal was with that. Okay. Yeah, I also know that I think it was another brewery in the state bought 2 of the bottles, right?
Yep.
Like Anchorage, was it Denali? They bought an Anchorage ale and a Denali ale like off of eBay for like $500 or something.
Probably.
Yeah. So they were excited to try it because it's like, this is the original microbrew. I mean, this is like the
OG of the game.
If the regulatory rules were different at the time, they would have been very successful. You couldn't have tap rooms before. Right. So it was way different. Anyway, so they bought these bottles all stoked, like, yeah, man, this is like the original OG Alaska stuff. And then it was the same thing that Heather found with her Old 55 case. They're like, what happened? It's like, well, beer's not made to sit out in the sun in a bottle.
No, it's not meant to go through like temperature fluctuations. No. Did you ever see the shirts, the original Old 55 like T-shirts?
No.
Oh my.
You got to send us a picture so I can put it up for people.
I don't have a picture, but they used to say beer, it's not just for breakfast anymore on the back. I'm like, Dad, you were a pioneer. That's freaking hilarious.
What was the year time frame that he had that going? So from what to what?
91 to 99, let's say.
Okay.
Ish.
Well, I was just graduating high school at the end of that tenure, so I wouldn't really. Although the Old 55, that rings a bell. Like, I'm just trying to remember.
Your dad was probably drinking that.
You know where the name came from for that one?
Yeah.
Well, my dad was born in 55.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So the reason I knew about it was because there's this gun safe at my dad's house, downstairs in the basement, and so whenever I wanted to go pull a gun out and stuff, I'd be messing with it. I'd look up, and there was 5 empty bottles. So there was the Midnight Sun, Sockeye Red, the Kodiak Brown, like there are 2 OG ones, and then your dad's 3. And those bottles just sat up there like it was like, hey, these are the Alaska, I support local or whatever. They're empty, but he always had them there forever. So I bet they're still there. I should go take a
That's
picture of
great.
that
Yeah,
safe.
you should.
He doesn't
You should.
like
Yeah.
moving shit, so it's probably
Yeah,
still
still
there.
there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like empty shells I've sat right next to him 20 years ago. They're still sitting there, but
Yeah.
That's
Collecting dust.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll try to find some pictures and put it up
Oh,
on
that'd be
our
cool.
YouTube thing
Yeah.
for these guys. That'd be great. And speaking about local legends and local businesses, we want to give a shout out real quick to the Treehouse AK. They're your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. Be sure to ask the bud tender about their deal of the day, because honestly, they're always got something new on deck. And guys, listen, this is where the culture lives. At the Treehouse, their dedication to servicing customers and consumers have been developed through a lifetime of involvement in the cannabis culture. They're committed to providing the highest quality products at whatever value your budget affords, while always maintaining the deep-rooted principles that have carried them this far. Their focus is on relationships over transactions, and you can always depend on them to treat you with the respect that you deserve. Hit them up at thetreehouseak.com, and remember, you must be 21 years old to visit their website or their store.
Nice.
I want to go back to the Colorado and the fire thing. I always was wondering, do you bring firewood? How does that work?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I will start this off by saying that the National Park Service does an exceptional job with managing the Grand Canyon. Like I said, my first trip was in 2010. Most recent was 2021, and it looks exactly the same. And there's
that's the
something
best.
to be said for that. So with the fire situation in the wintertime, I think it's October through, let's say, the first week of March. So similar to that non-commercial season that they have, you can collect driftwood on your trip. So they, like I said before, they do those high flow events, 40, 50,000 CFS. And part of the reason that they do that is to rebuild the beaches. So they take all that sediment from the river and they bring it up high. It redeposits on the beaches and kind of keeps this pristine camping area, which is incredible. With that, it also moves a whole lot of driftwood. And so as you're rafting down the river, end of October through early March, you can actually collect driftwood. And then when you get to camp, you lay out these fire blankets, which are essentially like big pieces of black felt that you lay down. And then you have metal fire pans that you can build fires in. And then the next morning, after your fire is all burned down, you have to scoop all of the ash into ammo cans. And you carry out all of your ash, all of your poop, all of your trash. You have to pee in the water. You can't pee on the banks. So just kind of the whole strategy that the Park Service has put together for preserving the Grand Canyon, to the best of my knowledge, they're doing an exceptional job with it. And it is so pristine and so clean. And it's just really inspiring to kind of see that level of conservation happening in the Grand Canyon.
You got to. I mean, how many thousands of people are visiting that river every year?
I think it's 30,000 people will raft the Grand Canyon every year, but it's something like 2.5 million visit the South Rim every year.
Yeah.
So the number, percentage wise, there's not that many people who actually raft the Colorado River, but you can imagine even 30,000 people visiting a place like that could do some hella damage.
Oh, yeah.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really cool just to see conservation in action and be like, wow, this shit works. Mm-hmm. It's cool.
Seeing it firsthand.
So they put the felt and then the pan. What's the felt? So it doesn't just spill off and maybe...
They actually figured out that without the fire blankets and without the fire pans and the fire blankets, they could actually find spots where they were melting the sand into glass almost. So you would kind of get these burn marks in the sand. And then the fire blankets also allow us to kind of catch all the stuff that inevitably falls off the sides. And so you can more easily kind of shake it into these ammo cans and take it away with you.
Yeah. So I know that doing some of the trips up here on the Golconda and some of these other Alaska wild and scenic rivers is what they call them. You can go up to the house there or whoever the camp hosts, and they will provide you with bags for your waste. And inside of these bags, they have a powder that pretty much coagulates everything so that it's easy to transport, and you're supposed to take it with you. You're not supposed to dig holes in the ground. You're not supposed to leave toilet paper all over the place. So do they provide those bags for you as well on the Colorado, or do you have to bring that stuff?
So if we were to drive a boat down, then we would have to provide all that stuff ourselves. With the outfitter that we go with, they actually provide us just with these, I think they're 50 mil ammo cans. And we'll start the trip with, let's say, like 10 of these suckers. And so every time when you get to camp, we basically have a chore group, and it's like, you're on groover duty. So you scamper off down camp, and you find like a nice, pristine, private spot to set up the groover. And so you'll have a bucket where people can pee in the bucket so that they're not peeing all over the sand, and they don't have to make a trip down to the river, because if people have had a couple ciders, like, you don't actually want them going to the river at night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's dangerous.
Very.
So we have
Disappear.
a bucket for that, and then everybody's poo goes in the 50 mil can, and basically once it's full, you seal that sucker shut, row it out to the end of the river, and then we just give it back to the outfitter, which is real nice.
Yeah.
Reason number one to go with Pro River Outfitters. Just they deal with all that stuff at the end versus you being like, okay, so now we're going to figure out how to throw away 16 people's worth of poop for 30 days.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, like go with an outfitter if you're going to do the Grand Canyon so you don't have to deal with all of that.
Now, is there like a poopy boat? So like some people misbehave and they get the poop in their boat?
The other day you mentioned, Christine and Weston.
Oh, yeah.
Christine and Weston were on the poop boat. That was their boat. They had
got
all
the
of
ammo
the empty cans. They had all of the full cans. They have the Porto resupply. Like it's just a poop boat. And they had like a Winnie the Pooh flag on their boat so that we knew which boat was the poo boat. Like if you end up with that boat, you just make the most of it, and it's just a big joke the whole time.
I bet.
So how do you get nominated or not nominated for that?
Well, he was the new guy to our group.
There it is. The new guy's the poopy boat. That's a good way to do it.
That is a good guy.
I like that.
Instead of just giving it to CJ every time.
Yeah. We do give it to CJ.
Just takes one for the team every time.
Maybe whoever's like the most hammered the night before.
Oh,
is like,
okay. The one that makes the biggest ass of
you get the
himself.
poop bag.
It's usually redistributed every day.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to take their turn at the full ham session.
But those bags that we have on the volcano don't seem to seal that well. So you get some.
Do you not just use a 5-gallon bucket with a screw-on lid?
We do, but they provide you this bag that goes in the bucket. And then in the bottom of that bag has that powder.
Yep.
And then you're supposed to take that bag and put it in another sealed bag that doesn't seal very well.
Yeah, we didn't think of what you're saying though. Like bring an extra bucket that all of them go into and with the screw-on lid.
Just a screw-on lid?
Yeah, that's what we need to do.
You need a bucket with a toilet seat lid, which they probably sell.
Lugabaloo.
Yeah, and then you need a bucket that the bags go in.
We're missing the second bucket.
Yeah.
I don't.
Hot tip.
Yeah.
CJ, look that up.
We know you're listening, buddy. We'll send you a YouTube link.
Everybody's got to have a Lugabaloo.
I don't know that I've ever been asked about poop management on a podcast before. This is pretty fun.
There you go. We're taking
things
it to
that
the next level here.
Yeah. But you didn't know I knew that.
Not to dig it into the ground, but I had to deal with something similar to that this weekend.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
No poo intended.
Well, going out to the cabin this weekend, everything's frozen. There's no water, and the outhouse is, got 4 feet of snow. So I brought the boat bucket, and so it was mainly for the girls because I want them to just be able to go inside the cabin. There's a little nook in the back, and I put a little bucket of water back there for them, and ended up freezing, but which was probably good for odor and whatnot. Yeah. But I find one of those things to be, when you got a whole boat full of girls, which is my life every weekend on the boat, with three daughters and a wife.
I got all boys, so I got a separate
it's easy.
It's just just lean over the side, don't fall.
It's like you better have the Lugabaloo. You better have that thing because nobody wants to go. Well, they'll go squat and do the Alaska girl thing, but if you got the toilet,
they'll use it.
Oh yeah. And it's just cleaner and more sanitary for the environment or the camp that you're staying at, stuff like that. Versus you pull up to a camp off the river and go walk in the back and there's piles of toilet paper. It just pisses you off, doesn't it? It's terrible.
Speaking of that, I think that eventually should happen. Like doing a lot of family floats on the Kenai and the upper Kenai, it's getting pretty bad in there in some of those spots, some of those camp spots we go.
It's about time they start adopting some of that Colorado river action.
Or even the Golcana with just like the wild and scenic designation. Because I feel like the first time I did the Golcana, it was kind of jarring. Like, what do you mean we got to bring a bucket? And then having gone and done rivers where that's implemented, it's like, it does make a difference.
Well, and then seeing the end result with how pristine it looks, however many years later, it's the same as it should be because of that management. It's the only way to go.
Speaking about the whole rafting thing, I kind of want to go back into like your history. I know that you went to school for what's the technical word of it? Not oaring.
Rowing?
Rowing?
You call it rowing?
Crew.
Pinkies up.
That was Western Washington,
Pinkies up.
right?
Crew.
Okay.
So did you get into rowing as a kid with your family? What's the background there?
No. So my dad had the brewery. After the brewery, I think my dad got back into framing and construction. I wouldn't say that I had, like, I would go car camping with my folks, but like I wasn't a super outdoorsy kid. Like, sure, went snowboarding, went rock climbing, whatever. But it really wasn't until I got hired on as a raft guide at Chugach Adventure Guides out of Girdwood at 18 years old that they were like, oh, yeah, like, let's take this group of, like, cute girls and shove them in as raft guides. Like, this is going to work great. So started off doing that. And as I was guiding that summer for my first summer, and to be clear, I sucked. Like, I was not strong enough to, like, get this boat from point A to point B, because we would take these rafts from Spencer Lake through the icebergs down the Placer River and then get back on the train. Like, super awesome, quintessential Alaskan trip. Everybody should go do it at least once. But that first summer when I was 18, I was just like weak as all get out and could hardly move this raft around. And then later in that summer, I had a guy ride in my boat, and he's like, yeah, if you row boats, like, you're going to Western this year, you should try out for their crew team. Like, they've won multiple NCAA national championships, and like the coach is great and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't even know like what you're saying to me. I don't know what crew is. I'm not even thinking about college sports. Like, I am weak as a kitten. Like, for whatever reason, it just landed. And I was like, all right, dude man said I should try out for the crew team. I get to college. I like get into the dorms, and somebody who's all of like 4'10" goes cruising by me, and I'm like, holy shit, she's going to like the crew meeting because she's going to be a coxswain. And so I like learned what a coxswain is, and this girl literally like held my hand and walked me to this introductory crew meeting my first week of college. And then we had practice at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and I just fell in love with it. I was like, holy shit. First, I didn't know your feet are strapped into the boat. B, I didn't know how freaking hard this was going to be. C, it's like you're on the water. It's dead calm. There's stars for as far as you can see, and you can't talk in the boats. It's
a rule?
Yes. Like, they're 40-foot boats. You have 8 rowers and a coxswain in like an 8-person boat. And the only person who can talk is the coxswain. And they have little speakers, beep, 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 like 4 little speakers that go down the raft, or not the raft, the boat. And so they're talking into a microphone, and you can hear them through the speakers. And the rule is, like, you can't talk because everybody needs to hear what the coxswain's saying. So it's like this really incredible meditative experience being out on the water that early, being out in the cold, wet Bellingham fresh air.
Musty,
Yeah, and then just like when you're in the boat, you have your feet locked in, you are sitting on a seat that slides back and forth so that you're able to move, and you're able to like move the oar. And when you roll up to what's called the catch, you basically have your feet locked in. So it would be as if I was like fully, almost like ass to grass, like my ass is almost touching my heels. I'm so far up there. And then you feather the blade, and it's like a Viking ship. It's just like kaboom! Like you like feather the blade, and then you come back to the finish and you feather the blade again. And it's just like this really rhythmic, meditative, intense, hard. It's a whole experience, and I just fell in love with it. It was so freaking cool. So yeah, that was kind of my introduction to like really hard stuff, I would say. And so then bringing that back to rafting, basically every summer I would come home to Alaska and treat my rafting job as if it was part of my training for the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah.
So then all of a sudden it was like, oh, let's go hike further with pack rafts. Let's like work out before work. Let's go rafting, and then let's work out after work and like go hiking. And it just became this whole lifestyle that was so fun.
Yeah.
And so hard. All of it was just hard.
Yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah.
And when you look back, were you like, that was the funnest time? Or what were your feelings on that? Because you're suffering, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't feel like growing up, like I didn't suffer as a kid, you know, like sure, I went snowboarding and lived in Girdwood and whatever, but like hadn't really experienced really, really, really hard work. And I think there was something about crew that was really hard, but then all of a sudden being in the backcountry, let's say doing a pack rafting trip and being like, holy shit, like what's a caribou trail? Like, why is this pack so heavy? Where am I going?
Yeah.
Like, what am I eating on this trip? Just the whole experience was so, I want to say overwhelming, that it just won me over. I thought it was awesome.
And somewhere in there was the foundation of Heather's Choice.
Mm-hmm.
How'd that come up? Yeah.
So after I rode crew for 4 years, we won our 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th consecutive national championship. And I basically decided, like, I am done with this noise. Like, that was a lot of years of waking up at 4:15 and going and getting on the lake in the morning. So I had gotten an invite to go on the Colorado River for the first time. So I graduated, saved all my money, went and rafted the Colorado River. And while I was there, I had realized, like, I basically had put together sort of this high performance diet for myself. I was totally grain free. I didn't eat beans. I didn't eat refined sugar. I didn't eat dairy. Like, I was pretty type A about this diet that I put together, but it had like gotten me to where I was with rowing. And so then going on the Colorado River, having an outfitter, like they do send you with good food, but there was a bunch of stuff that I didn't eat. So I dehydrated, I think, 50 pounds of food for that first Colorado River trip and just showed up at 22 years old. Like, hi, I've never rode like class 6, 7, 8, 9 rapids before. I'm the youngest person on the trip. I'm the only female boat captain, and I have like every dietary restriction under the sun. So like, here's my purse of food. And so on that first Colorado River trip, like the idea for Heather's Choice started to percolate because I had made the first version of packaroons. I had made the first version of smoked salmon chowder, the first version of Heather's Choice chili, like all that stuff had sort of happened on that first trip. And on that trip was Jason Motika from 49 State Brewing, who I literally followed that dude through every single rapid on the river because I had no idea what I was doing. And he's like, follow me. I'm like, great. It's all in the setup. Follow Jason. I survived. I had a great trip. I did not flip my boat. And so years later, this is like 2014, I find myself back in Alaska. The idea for Heather's Choice is still percolating. I'm still dehydrating my own food, and it's still my like fun little hobby. And we went for a hike one day in the Chugach up O'Malley Peak, and he's like, what is it going to take for you to like actually give this thing a go? And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, I guess I need like a kitchen and I need like a bigger dehydrator. He's like, all right. So he ends up giving me a place to live for free. I got to live in one of his like 4-plex apartments over here.
This is Jason Motika, who I grew up with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jason's like, put your money where your mouth is, kid.
Yeah.
So he gives me a place to live. He drives me to Cabela's and buys me the biggest dehydrator that they have, which is like the size of a wine cooler, but it was bigger than what I already had. And he gave me a couple $1,000 and said, like, I triple dog dare you to do this.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I think the world of Jason, and like, he's got an amazing business, and like, I want to be like Jason when I grow up. And so started Heather's Choice that summer of 2014, living for free in one of Jason's apartments over here off of Diamond, and just like literally have been chasing this thing ever since. So yeah. anything that's really hard, I'm pretty
Yeah, you like
pretty intrigued by it.
Yeah. Go against the grain, go uphill. Yeah.
I guess. Because, yeah, like the whole journey with Heather's Choice, it's just been hard. I don't imagine it's been any different with Double Shovel, but Heather's Choice has been exceptionally bumpy, exceptionally hard, and it's a miracle we are still here.
Yeah, I can associate with that. I mean, and the reason I was asking about, the suffering and the fun is when I look back and I'm like, what are the best trips I've done? What are the best experiences I've done? It's not like the roller coaster ride. It's not the easy guided raft trip or whatever. It's the things that sucked when you're doing it. Those late nights at the cidery for years. I look back, I was like, those nights I was in there by myself, listening to whoever, Led Zeppelin so loud that, I'm still hurting today or whoever it was, I also I have a sweet spot for Harvest Moon at the cidery. If someone plays that, it like almost brings tears to my eyes. Cause it's like, I listen to that song a lot of times in there late in the night.
So cute.
But, anyway, like you put this time in like sheep hunting or working hard when you're in this zone, in this true suffering, and you're like, this fucking sucks. But then you look back and you're like, that was the best time of my life.
Can't wait to do it again.
I mean, I think there's a lot about that. Like you going to Costco 3 times, I'm sure you've had to do that more weekends than you care to recount. And it just sucks. And there's actually nothing novel about it. And I really feel like the suffering and the suck and just the intensity, there's novelty to it, and so we remember it. Whereas if I'm like, what did you eat Tuesday last week for breakfast? It's like, I don't know, I eat the same thing every Tuesday, or I eat the same thing every morning. And so your brain is just constantly sorting through and being like, novel, not novel, novel, not novel, like repetitive, not repetitive. What the hell was that? And so those experiences that are really challenging, really hard, really novel, unique, different, they spin us up in a different way, and you're like, wow, that was awesome. As much as it sucked. Like we talked about that with our recent Grand Canyon trip, where we had one day that we were trying to row downstream and it was just blowing up river, pouring sideways rain. It sucked. Everything about it sucked. And I finally got to this point of surrender of like, I am not fighting this wind anymore. Just took my hands off the oars and just let the boat ride. And it was like, started here and just like pushed us back upstream into this little alcove. And then all of a sudden we were under a roof. And it was like, wow, it's dry in here. What do you do when it's dry and it's pissing rain outside? You drink Fireball. We just sat there in this like little roof and drank Fireball. Like me, another Heather, and a Linda. Like 3 girls just sitting there in this raft. Like, what the hell else are we supposed to do? And before we knew it, all the other rafts like came and joined us under this roof. And like the weather just sucked. But like we were having so much fun in that moment.
Yeah.
So there's also that like overcoming and just managing your attitude during the suck that also makes it memorable.
Yeah, you own it.
Right?
Yeah, you bring it home with you. Yeah.
You kind of embrace it, right? You know it. It's crappy. It's blown. It's cold. It's like, why don't we just have some laughs and let it ride? And it builds the character, right? The hard work, the labor, whatever you're putting it in. It's like life variables. When it's hard, it's what makes you who you are,
Yep.
And thickens your skin. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a difference between those hard times where you push through and you're like, okay, this sucks for a time and I'm going to push through it. I'm going to be strong on the other side. And I feel like there's a really important distinction between that and embracing having a shitty life and just being like, my life sucks. And like every day sucks. And I'm just embracing the suck for eternity. And so I feel like sometimes we're encouraged to just like buckle down and like stick with it and like just do the thing and just do it all the time and like keep after it. And it's like, no, you're not building a life. Like your life should be joyous and fun and exciting and awesome. And you have periods of like, whoa, my nervous system is just like, what was that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that like shock factor, like you can handle those periods of stress and those periods of intensity for a short period of time, but our whole lives aren't meant to be just like one long suck fest or like one long adrenaline rush, because then you just burn out and die. So I feel like it's really important to not try to encourage people to always find the suck and live in that, but instead to have like a really joyous, awesome, creative, like exciting life, and to put yourself in those situations where you're like, whoa,
Yep.
that was outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Make the sucks the highlight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. The memories.
Yeah.
You fall in the water, and the water's, you barely keep your head above water, and you learn to swim, whatever it is that you're learning how to make cider, you're learning how to make dehydrated food, you're learning how to drill oil wells, whatever it is that you're doing. And then when that's done and you don't get that fulfillment from it, you are like, what's next? And then you jump into that and you learn how to swim all over again. And that's fun. And it's hard work, and it's the suffering, and it's the suck, but you love it.
Yeah. I feel like I said that to you the other day of like, Heather's Choice isn't going to be I'm not going to do this my whole life. I'm not going to do this forever, because I believe there's going to come a point in time where I'm like, this isn't a challenge anymore. And I'm not a maintainer. I'm not even a manager. I'm just like a creative visionary, like, ooh, this will be rad. Like, let's try this on for size. And as soon as it's like up and running and working, I'm going to be like, bye.
Yep.
See you later.
Yep.
So yeah.
Right at the top.
Totally.
Drop the mic and walk off. Yep.
Yep. And so that's been really important for me as an entrepreneur to realize, like, once it's not challenging, once I'm not learning something new or being stretched, I'm out.
Yep.
I'm over it.
I respected that a lot when you said that the other day, and I brought it home with me. I thought a lot about it. And, I had always told the people that are close to me that kind of like where you're at, like when you start to realize that that's going to happen, I was like, I'm going to have 3 careers, because it was just like, I didn't think of the entrepreneur spirit at that time, but you're totally right. And I'm so happy to have jumped into a second career. And I totally, we're launching these farms, going into like a third thing. And it's just like, it's like that variety, the spice is the variety of life, or variety is the spice of life thing we talked about earlier. It does that. It makes your life exciting and new, and you feel like you're young.
Yeah, just a new challenge.
Fresh. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And kind of like this whole deal we got, like, none of us know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We just decided, hey, let's figure it out and do it, and here we are.
Yeah. Have fun with it.
Yeah, that shared passion for things. It's incredible to be around that energy.
Well, and it's really it's encouraging and exhilarating to listen to Heather's experiences and Jack's, and Daniel, you're an entrepreneur yourself. It gives you motivation to never give up on something that you believe so much in, even when times get tough, right? You keep pushing, you keep, you got your dehydrator and your couple grand, and you're just going to make it happen. And so, yeah, it's, it makes me feel that much better about what we're doing here and the future it has, and bringing folks in like Heather to shed light on their experiences and the ground level startup from something, and the excitement that comes from that, and the future you don't know what it holds, but we don't care. We're having fun with it right now, and we're just going to keep rolling.
That's right.
Just like Heather. Yeah, she's going to keep doing it.
What kind of cool plans you got this summer?
Oh my gosh. So coming off the Colorado River, we are going to travel again. I sit on the national board for backcountry hunters and anglers, and so we'll be traveling for their rendezvous. And anybody who lives in Alaska that hunts and fishes, you should be a member. You should spend your $35 and be a member of BHA. Yep. We're going to go to that rendezvous in June, and then by middle of summer, man, like we have we time our Heather's Choice board meetings on winter solstice and summer solstice. So those board meetings for me are always like pretty intense. It's like bringing this group of people together and being like, this is what I think I want to do. And they either like laugh me out of the room, or they shun me or shame me or guilt me into like making a different decision, or they say, okay, good luck. So board meetings are always intense, and otherwise in Alaska, just being home, like gardening and going hiking and fishing and just enjoying Alaska for the summer months. In tandem with that, within Heather's Choice, we are doing a full rebrand, which is an epic pain in the ass, but is going to be so worth it. When you guys see the new brand, you'll be like, oh, like, I get it. That's freaking rad. So the whole business is getting a new look and feel, which in tandem with that, I'm really committed to expanding the adventure menu. So right now we have 5 dinners, 5 breakfasts, and 8 flavors of packaroons. And the number one feedback we get from people is they want more variety. So really trying to just kind of settle into the feedback we've gotten from our core customers and commit myself to some new product development, which is a ton of work and a whole thing. But talking to Jack the other day and seeing like how much product development that Double Shovel does, I'm like, I can freaking do this.
Yeah, yes, you can.
I can put on my mad scientist hat and like commit to some time just playing with recipes. And I'm sure you can speak to that as far as with your business, but people love new stuff. And Heather's Choice has not done a great job with just new product innovation. So want to focus on that. And then this is the big project. We have all of 2,600 square feet for our business. And I, from the bottom of my heart, believe that like we can be 10 times bigger than we are now. And I have a really clear roadmap of like, these are the retail partners. This is the direct consumer strategy. Like this, like I can pencil all that out for you of like, this is how we get 10 times bigger, which means I need 10 times more space.
Yeah. And people probably, right?
And 10 times as many people.
Yeah.
And 10 times as much funding. So that's kind of like, that's really what's going to keep me up at night and keep me really busy is figuring out like, how do I go from 2,600 square feet to 26,000 square feet? How do I go from 10 employees to 50 employees? Like all of that just, it doesn't make sense. I don't know how I'm going to get there. And I believe it's possible for us. So like those little baby steps of looking at lots, looking at existing buildings, talking to Jack about like, so do you want to build me a building? And then Double Shovel moves into it a few years from now. Like all of those conversations are in the works. And I'm really excited to kind of see it unfold because I don't know how it's going to happen. But the dream is that someday you will walk into an REI, a Sportsman's Warehouse, a badass independent anywhere in the country, and there'll be Mountain House and there'll be Heather's Choice snuggled up right next to it.
Yeah. And that's really not even an option then. You're just going Heather's Choice every time there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just going to poke the bear for, however many more years.
Yeah, we need this giant Double Shovel Heather's Choice complex. That's what we need.
I wanted to ask you, how does that work with the big boys like that? Like, do they push back? Do they call you and like look to buy you out? Do they act like you're just like a pissant they're gonna squish, or do they embrace you? Like, what's the relationship with a small local Alaskan, vendor versus like the big boy like that? What is that like?
I'm not sure yet, and I can't wait to find out.
Are we getting close?
I don't know. I really don't know. I have only heard through the grapevine, that some of like my business mentors will go to a show like OR and like stroll up to the Mountain House booth and be like, oh yeah, I'm like mentoring Heather's Choice. And they're like, we know who Heather's Choice is. Like they're already watching. They've already seen the teeny tiny packaging. They've already seen the gluten-free. Like they've already seen like where the trend is going. And so I feel like there's a real opportunity for them to be like, well, if they can innovate faster than us, they can innovate a pro pack that's gluten-free, dairy-free, and like move. But these big, old, archaic businesses aren't great at that historically.
Yeah.
So that's where it's up to us to, as a small business that's nimble, that can like move and shake and get shit done, ideally, we should be able to innovate faster than them and actually like throw bows and go to the REI buyer and say, hi, like, I don't have 5 dinners. I have 12 dinners, and they all rock. And the number one thing is that people want more variety. You could give me more pegs, but that means you'd have to give up some of those Mountain House pegs because you have a fixed number of pegs at every store. Like fixtures don't just grow overnight. So it becomes like this whole charismatic conversation with me and like the buyers or whoever my sales manager is, and like starting to take up that retail space for it to hurt for like a Mountain House brand. And that's where, like I say, I think eventually like you poke the bear enough that they're like, all right, what do we got to do about this Heather's Choice problem? And I can't wait for that day to come because I have no idea if they're going to be like, okay, like, here's your X number of millions of dollars, like, get out of here, kid. Or if they're just like, okay, like, we absorb you and you become part of Mountain House, or they come up with all sorts of lawsuits and it's this whole thing. Like, I was talking to somebody on Instagram today who owns an energy bar company, and their tagline was similar enough to Cliff Bar that Cliff Bar came after them. I bet they do less than $500,000 a year worth of business. And someone like Cliff Bar still bothered to come along and be like, hey, your tagline is close enough to ours. Like, here's your cease and desist letter. And so, like...
Fucking haters.
I know. Like, it could go that route where it's just, like, this annoying, like... Yeah. Have you ever read the book Shoe Dog?
Yep.
Right.
Great.
Right?
Book.
The story where, like, here he is, like, cruising along, making $17 million a year, and the U.S. government's like, here's your $24 million tax bill because your competitors, like, went and created... What was the deal? They, like... somehow figured out how to create this import tax that Nike had to pay.
Yep. So Shoe Dog is the book about Nike and how Nike started, and his whole deal with like going to Japan and getting his materials, and it's an incredible book, an incredible American story.
It's so awesome. So like even thinking about his journey with like, here was Adidas, this big ass burly brand, and he was like, I just want to take up their market share. And like
chip away at that.
Everything that it took for him to do that. So I don't actually know if like Heather's Choice is even going to again get to that level to where like we're actually a pain in somebody's ass like that. But I don't know. Talking about like hard, scary, unknown stuff, that'd be pretty interesting to get a letter in the mail from Mountain House. It's like, here you go. We want you to die.
I just wondered if you got like a random email or something from anybody anytime.
No,
Not yet.
I got a random email from somebody that was like, oh, we want to acquire Heather's Choice to be a part of our like adventure brands portfolio. And I think I told you about this, like what they want to pay for a business like ours. I was like, you can go pound sand.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I might as well keep this till the day I die. So I think that's what I'm having fun with in business is I don't know any of this stuff. And so it's really fun to have those emails come in and be like, who the hell do these people think they are?
Right?
They think I put in 7 years into this and I'm just going to roll over on it? Like, no.
You're gonna bite the bait just like that? No.
Get out of here.
Yeah, not a chance.
Hold tough. Well, you guys had a similar deal with, I don't even want to say the name of the company.
Not say the name.
I will say the German medicine company.
Yeah, we had an issue at startup.
No way.
Yeah, when we trademarked, we got in a lawsuit right away about our logo. And so we have a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't really speak a lot about it. But yeah, it was a real unfortunate circumstance. And it's just like these big corporations doing what they want, and lawyers on retainers doing what they want as well, and just really just holding back local business, small business. And anyway, we made it. We treaded water and made it through, and negotiated a few things out. But we're happy where we ended up.
See, this is the shit that people don't tell you about when you start a business. They're not like, hey, so like when you become really successful, you become a huge target. Employees are the hardest thing on planet Earth. You will always be looking for more money. And it doesn't get any easier. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck finding time off.
Yeah.
How many years have you had your business?
It's a family business. Anchortown has been in business since 2007 as their own, but my parents own Tia's, which was a big one since 1997. So it's been
cool.
a big, long journey, expansions and reductions, and COVID fucked a lot of that up. But hopefully the tourists will be coming back and we can continue to grow.
Yep.
And get it going.
So crazy.
Yeah.
You guys will be out there this weekend, you think?
We are. We are actually opening up this weekend. This coming weekend. This podcast will be already out.
Yeah, sweet.
By then. But every weekend, and then I still do my Anchor School District job, and then we'll be open up in the beginning of May every single day out there to wrestle around and serve everyone their spicy reindeer dogs.
I'll be biking down the coastal trail there often.
You.
Yeah.
So fun.
Get my Euro dog.
Shh.
I'll need to come down and get one of
Top
those.
secret, I realize. But
Well, I feel like we've took up a lot of Heather's time. Jack, you have something else you want to add there?
I just had a couple like kind of more silly questions for you. So I've heard a lot of silly questions about people drinking our product. Do you have a silly Heather's Choice story where, you know, what's the silliest story you've ever heard of someone having your food somewhere in like a weird situation?
Oh, I do have a good one. So
Perfect.
speaking about like package size, we have a customer.
Whoa. There's kids listening, Heather.
What kind of package are we talking about?
So this customer is ancient. So this, like, his name is Mark. We see him at every trade show. He's like your quintessential dude who will go to Prince of Wales and float around in a canoe for a week and like take down a few deer and like haul them home at 80. Like, he's a freaking badass, and he's so hunched over, he has to like kind of look at you like out of the top of his eyes, because like he's just old enough and like has probably carried enough backpacks that he's just hunched over. Like, he's an incredible person, and like love Mark K. Wood to death, and like can't wait to see him when trade shows are a thing again. So he comes to me one day at our booth, probably at like Sheep Show, and he rolls up and, you know, he's like kind of hunched over, like looking at me at the top of his eyes. And he's like, I have one problem with your meals. And I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't going to go well. So he's like, no, like the problem that I have is, you know, the Mountain House bags, like they're actually big enough to use as a pee bottle, like when I'm in the cabin. But Heather's Choice bags, like they actually aren't big enough for that. So I have to like bring a Mountain House bag and eat that meal first to use that as my pee bottle at camp. And I was like, wow, Mark, I did not know that was going to be a problem.
Didn't put a whole lot of thought into that when you were developing your packaging.
No, but it was so funny, and he was so sincere about it. I was like, good to know.
Well, being that he's an older man, he's probably got to go more than
well,
once
I guarantee
at night.
now that when you're doing your packaging now, you're thinking about Mark.
Yeah,
like,
I'm thinking about like milliliters instead of ounces.
The pea bag edition.
Yeah.
Marky Mark's pea bag edition for sure.
Maybe you should get into the poop bag game.
I guess. Oh my gosh. Like here. And then it uses as a wag bag.
And it seals extra tight.
It's
So we put in
multi-use.
CJ's boat.
Before you eat the food, make sure this other bag's not ruptured.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I think that's pretty silly.
That was a damn good one.
That was really good. So that's like the last thing I would think to use a dehydrated meal bag for.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a good idea, though.
it is. I mean, if you're not trying to go out in the teepee in a snowstorm on a hunt.
Pro tip.
Yeah. They should almost give, like, you know how they put the little package in there you're supposed to take out of it? The little whatever. They should put, like, the little bag with the absorption. So you can use the same bag for when you're going to
Oh my
reuse,
gosh.
fully recycle and reuse.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know. See all these ideas.
I will
Yeah.
say that we, you know, our moose camp, we have some older individuals, and I'm not allowed to show up unless I have a couple of those. I think they're like 12 packs of the 1 liter Gatorade bottles for these guys, and then I'll see them like dumping the Gatorade out, and I'm like,
Oh,
They didn't
Come
have
on,
to drink
dude.
it.
Like, at least drink the Gatorade first, man.
Yep. You would never guess these things that you don't know about the backcountry until you go, and then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a real thing. It's like on our Grand Canyon trips, a lot of dry suits, they only have a relief zipper in the front, so you like look over and you see these women standing up peeing, and you're like, wow, that's really weird. But they have those shiwis and like the dry suits with the zipper in the front, and like, what else do they do? But it just every time you're like, whoa.
That's shocking.
That's not what you're
The
used to seeing.
shiwi.
I'm writing it down. We got to get
The
that on.
shiwi. We'll
Oh
put
yeah.
that up there.
Oh my goodness.
Annie knows about the shiwi.
The
Kind of reminds me
shiwi.
of like the baby pee-pee teepee.
Yeah.
Where you
Is that
your
have a-
son so he doesn't pee in your face when you're
is that SHE-WEE or is it?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Shiwi.
I think it's something
I
like
think
that.
you just need to Google it.
That's a great name.
The first
Shiwi, man, that dude's rich.
the first time I brought like a whole women's group
Or
down there
she's-
to dip
yeah,
net
right.
reds on the Kenai. I didn't realize that there was like a seagull sanctuary there. So like right at the end where that marker is, I pull in the side, and all these women run up there and use the shore. And all these seagulls are just dive bomb, and it was a bad deal.
Oh, across from the launch.
Yeah, across from the
Oh
launch.
no, those things are.
It
They'll
was
kill
not.
you.
It was not a good deal. So then the next year, I got a package in the mail right before we go on this dip netting trip, and this is right when those shiwis came out, and it's a whole box of them. And I have no idea what these are, So I'm like, get this thing. I'm trying to read on it, and I'm like, holy shit!
Who ordered all these funnels?
Still this day, I don't know who gave them to us. But
That's freaking funny.
yeah, so those are on the dip note boat now.
Yeah,
Shiwi.
smart.
Hell yeah.
That's another, pro tip. If you're a dude and you own a boat, you should maybe have a shiwi on board if you want to score some major points.
Lug a balloon, a shiwi. That's the check
That's it.
and
Throw
check.
it on the list.
Yeah. I thought my boat list was complete, but I guess I was wrong. All right.
That was great.
Yeah.
Well, Heather, thank you for coming out. We really appreciate you being a badass Alaskan, local business owner, just a wonderful representative of all Alaskans and the culture and the lifestyle that we're living, and providing these opportunities to eat your cool stuff that you're making for us. And we are big fans of what you got going on, and
Thank you.
we
It's
are
great.
We are excited on what the new
oh yeah.
branding's going to look like, and
Yeah.
we encourage.
We'll taste test any of your new flavors on any of these mountain hunts, and
Oh yeah. We'll be
Yeah.
all over it.
It's going to be a good year. I'm excited for what's to come. That's for sure. And thank you guys so much for having me. Like I say, you're so legitimate with your little podcast setup.
Well, we thank you for that. That's it means a lot to us because you were a pretty major guest appearance for us, and we're really excited about having you on. And everything you brought to the table is beyond what I ever could have or we could have ever expected as far as what you had to say. And
You didn't know you were going to
great.
get shiwi out of the deal.
Yeah.
no, I mean, I actually learned. I have this. I mean, I
the
learned
title
a
of
lot right
Shiwi
now.
now.
Managing your poo and shiwis.
Yeah. With Heather
Definitely
Kelly.
didn't think we were going to talk about that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we'll definitely have to have you back on.
Yeah.
After the summer, after the crazy time, and then the new branding comes out. And
Yeah.
guys, definitely go check her out on Arctic. Tell us exactly where the address is.
Our kitchen is 5881 Arctic Boulevard. Our warehouse is right behind it at 700 West 59th. You could throw a rock at us from Double Shovel. So you can
Oh, that's
come
right by
by.
Sarah's Sandwich Shop.
Yep. Really
Okay.
close.
Okay. Got it.
Yep. Get yourself some cider. Get yourself some packaroons. All on the same bike trip in that part of town.
Perfect.
and then the Instagram is
Heather's Choice.
Heather's Choice.
Heather's Choice. Website's Heather's Choice.
And if you're gonna buy from Heather, buy direct if you can.
Yep.
That's the best way you can support that ownership.
Yep.
I have to go check it out. I haven't been over there yet, but I will be soon.
Come say hi. It's
Oh,
really
for sure.
fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Heather, thanks again. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Badass Alaskans doing badass things.
Goddamn right.
Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate you.
You'll remember my speaking to you of what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
Total Truck Accessory Center. Go check them out at 7700 Homer Drive. They're your one-stop shop for canopies, spray-in bed liners, LED light bars, and more. Total Truck.
TheTreehouseAK.com. Located at 341 Boniface Parkway. They're your all-in-one cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bartender today what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off.
Lawn Pro AK, your year-round professional property maintenance. Cutting lawns, but not cutting quality. Hit them up at lawnproak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58. Handcrafted, Alaskan-made cider. They also got a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Check them out, doubleshovelcider.com.
Anchortown Dogs, located across from the 4th Avenue Theater in front of the historical building. Look for the blue and gold umbrella. Get yourself a legit reindeer dog.
Tailored Restoration, helping Alaskans restore their dreams. Voted #1 in the state since 1972. Water restoration, fire restoration, remodeling, cleaning, anything that you have to do with your home, inside and outside, give those guys a call or check out tailoredrestoration.com.